We here at Trailer Hitch, we're men of our words. So last time you heard from us, we said that we were going to talk about the Snyder cut of Justice League.
That's right.
Issue is we have a bi-weekly schedule for recording. By the time it came for us to record after the Snyder cut came out, pretty much everyone's done talking about the Snyder cut now. But we're men of our words. So James is our resident, has sat through the 4-hour Snyder cut. Well, is sit through it the right term? We're going to find out. We're going to talk to you. So James, because people aren't really talking about this anymore, we're going to try and condense this as much as possible. So I got a few questions here for you.
I'm ready.
In 2 sentences, say what you thought about the Snyder cut.
I really enjoyed myself, period. Second sentence. I was shocked how engaged I was for the entirety of 4 hours. It never lost my interest, which I'm cool. That's an impressive feat to accomplish for a 4-hour movie. Those are my two sentences, Kevin.
I caught the semicolon for the second part.
Yeah. Emphatic period at the end.
In one word, is it better than the Whedon version?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Definitively.
Okay. It sounded like there was more there, but I'm so sorry. We only have the time for the one word.
That's right. You set the rules, Kevin. I'm just following.
Lastly, in one grunt, would you recommend it to someone who doesn't care for the DC EU universe?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I appreciate that.
Now, how did you interpret that grunt? Like, I know we're trying to keep this brief, but that was a hilarious question, and I think I did a pretty good job with my grunt, but I am curious how you interpreted it.
The interpretation for that grunt is, James did you a great service. He watched the movie, he enjoyed it, but he was honest in saying, 4 hours is a long time for you, buddy, and you can probably just, hold off on that. I might not get my kicks out of it, but that's okay. But here's the question is, will we get the same kicks from the trailers we're talking about? We have the Mitchells versus the Machines. We have the Suicide Squad, both the green and red band trailers. And we also have the new trailer for Spiral, the book based on the book of Saw. How is that subtitle go, James?
That is Spiral : from the book of Saw.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, here's the deal. We talked about the first Spiral trailer that came out way long ago. We're talking back in the time when you felt comfortable coughing in public. But hey, we got new thoughts. We're going to see if we like these just as much as James liked the Snyder cut. Here we go.
You can't haul your stuff without a trailer hitch. Trailer hitch.
Released by the movie trailers. We're Trailer Hitch. This movie might totally suck, but the whiskey sure is going down fine. Yeah, we're Trailer Hitch.
Actually, before we kick things off, I should ask, is there anything else that's coming up within the next couple of days before we post, James, where we would be horrifically behind by the next time we get to our next episode?
Jiminy Cricket, Kevin, I'm so glad you asked that question, because you bet your Space Jam butt that there is.
Oh, there's a new Space Jam trailer coming out?
A lot like Snyder cut of Justice League, we are just going to miss a Space Jam New Legacy trailer. I think we're recording this on a Friday. I think this trailer is going to come out tomorrow. So by the time this episode airs, the trailer will be pretty fresh. People will be, thinking about it, talking about it. They might be looking at our episode going, yeah, the Trailer Hitch boys probably talked about Space Jam. And technically we do right now.
We're technically doing it right now, yeah.
To let you know, hey man, like Kevin pointed out, we have a bi-weekly or bi-monthly. That's a question we've been asking for 7 years. But we do this podcast twice a month, which means we always miss something in that middle week. Okay, it happens.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen that often where it's something massive, but who knows? This Space Jam trailer could blow everyone's brains and Looney Tune anvils falling on people's heads, like Acme gore and violence everywhere. You never know.
Well, what did the
So
Snyder Cut do to you? You're talking
yeah,
about
I know.
Acme brains? Well, here's what we'll do. We're just going to give what we think our opinion on Space Jam will be, and then we'll give our actual opinions.
I like that. So it's kind of like a one sentence thing of our prediction of how we feel we'll think of the trailer, even though we haven't seen the trailer.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. Who wants to go first? Like,
I want you to go first.
Okay. Here's my thought on the trailer. LeBron James looks surprisingly good in this. I'm also happy they put Lola Bunny in pants, period. That's my review.
Okay, I'm going to say not enough basketball. That's,
I think that's a fair prediction, honestly.
I watched this trailer. By the end of it, I love Looney Tunes, but hey man, it's Space Jam. You got to give me what was promised, and that's basketball. And my prediction is there's going to be not enough basketball in this trailer.
I also think there won't be enough Bill Murray. He's one of the only major things I remember from the Space Jam movie as a kid.
You know what? Not enough Bill Murray, just enough Larry Bird, probably, though. If I'm being honest.
Okay, well, let's stop predicting what we're going to be saying about trailers and start talking about the trailers we did actually see and prepare for. But first, Hi, welcome to Trailer Hitch. I'm Kevin.
Hi, welcome to Trailer Hitch, everyone. I am James.
This is a movie trailer review podcast. We rate trailers on a scale of need to see more, or never need to see. If James and I both like a trailer, we celebrate. Then we go see the movie, report back to you guys in a segment called Trailer in the Rearview, in which we talk about the trailer in retrospect, then review the film writ large. Now, yes, obviously these days, it's a far shorter walk to the movies. It's just to our couches. But we are predicating this under the idea of, would we be willing to pay $20 to watch this early access? Although it seems like we're getting kind of close to a point where we can see shit in theaters. Like, I'm knocking on every piece of available wood that's near me as I say that, because I'm so excited for that. But anyway, that's our thought process. It's, would we pay full ticket price, or would we pay the $20 on Amazon and then potentially regret it? All right, James. We got a lot to catch up on tonight. Yes. So we got the Mitchells versus the Machines. And I know this was the first trailer we saw for this, made your top 5 for last year. So do you want to kind of clue us into what's going on with this first trailer?
I would love to. So this is actually in our trailer tune-up segment. But you might be confused because we've literally never reviewed the trailer for a movie called The Mitchells versus the Machines before. We have only reviewed the trailer for a movie called Connected, which you will be forgiven if you didn't know. Same movie, they just changed the name when it got bought by Netflix. So
every eagle-eared listener who remembers James saying that, go ahead and pat yourselves on the back. I assume with your wing, because you're an eagle. Yes, this is The Mitchells versus the Machines, which used to be called Connected.
Let it begin.
The last humans must be here somewhere. Wait.
They're coming.
Is that a burnt orange 1993 station wagon? Or is it... Who are these unstoppable warriors?
We're the Mitchells, the only people who can save the world. I'm super sorry, everyone.
Alrighty, that is right, listeners. We watched and reviewed the Connected trailer, the first trailer for this movie. I, like Kevin said, it was in my favorite trailers of the year of 2020. I just thought it was so energetic and stylistically awesome, and also like really funny, but also looked really heartwarming. And just the visual style is just chef's kiss. I just really, really like it.
Sure.
Now, there is a difference other than just the name of the movie between that first trailer and this one. And I guess the main one out the gate is that first trailer called Connected. They really take their time getting to the robot apocalypse. And it is all family setup in that first trailer for like the first half. Like the daughter is getting ready to go to college, and the family is like coming to terms with that, and it's going to be a road trip movie where they take her to college, and she's embarrassed about it. But they also live, in the current climate where everyone is connected to their devices, into the internet, and into social media. It's not until like halfway through that first trailer that it's like, oh, connected has a double meaning, because the things that are connected are about to rise up and take over the planet.
Yep. I was a big fan of the original Connected title. I know it's one of those things where if you're just scrolling by on Netflix, you would go, what's that? And then you'd keep going. But yeah, I did think the original title really did work. So when it was the Mitchells versus the Machines, I was like, I mean, I'm a fan of alliteration, but at the same time, I think I like that original title more. But
this one, in the title, it's not mincing words. It's literally telling you that there's going to be a robot apocalypse. And what does this trailer start with, Kevin?
Like right away, there's robots. Yeah, they do not waste any time getting to the robots.
That's right. And they do a little introduction, flashy action, evil robots. And then, let's rewind a little bit and see how we got here. And then there's a little tiny bit of family dynamics, not as much as that first one, but still some really good humorous stuff.
It's really good humorous stuff, but I will also note, I feel like this trailer does a lot more to establish the family as an entire unit, whereas I remember the Connected trailer was really focusing on the relationship between the daughter, Katie, and her father. And so that's something that I really appreciated about this trailer, was it got the entire family involved. Like, it introduced the brother and things like that.
Yeah, and nothing hammered that point home more than them seeing another family just be able to handle the robot apocalypse with
gusto, man.
Yeah,
that was my favorite gag of the trailer, hands down.
Like they were preparing for this their entire lives. And the Mitchells just look at them and go, well, I guess we do that. We can try that. No, really great humor in this. I think the thing that made me laugh the most is probably the son just calling random numbers in the phone book and asking if they want to talk to him about dinosaurs.
Yep.
Just seems so random. Really
just crossing off one number at a time with a Sharpie.
Yeah. I do think, and we can riff a little bit more about it in a second here, Kevin, but I do think this trailer gives a little too much away.
Yeah, that was my one note on the trailer, was I really was connecting. Can you hear me wink? I was connecting to it a lot more this go of it with the Mitchells versus the Machines trailer.
Yeah.
And then because the trailer's like 3 minutes long. And like, obviously, for the most part, trailers tend to be in like that 2.5 minute range. And yeah, by the time we hit like 2:15, I was really enjoying it, but was starting to get that pang in the back of my mind going, I don't know if I should have seen that. It kind of feels like the conclusion of a character arc. I don't know about this one. So,
yeah, and just to give a little bit like visual, because you mentioned something about a character arc, and I think I know what you're talking about. But even just like a visual, there's something set up in this trailer where the robots are clearly keeping human prisoners in this giant like blue grid tower, And I'm like, ooh, that's kind of visually interesting. And then we get to the end of the trailer, and some of the family members are in that prison already. And I'm like, this has got to be the end of the movie. And I was just so disappointed that I'm like, they're showing us that this family, half of them already get imprisoned, and it's going to be up to like one of them. Yeah, I just thought that was kind of a bummer that they included. They didn't have to, is what I'm saying. Like, I was super engaged in this trailer. Like you said, Kevin, it was 3 minutes. Just cut it out. You don't even need to replace it with anything. Just cut it out. And
exactly. Yeah, you can just get the conclusion of the family saying, like, we have to come together and just embrace our own uniqueness, versus then showing them doing that. Because then at that point, I'm like, all right, that does definitely feel like the last half hour of the film. But that said, I really enjoyed this trailer. Otherwise, I would be willing to upgrade me from a need to see more with Connected to a need to see for this.
Oh, fantastic. That's really exciting because while, the beat of maybe revealing a little bit too much at the end there, outside of that, I just remain super excited for this. So I am staying solid at my need to see it from Connected to
Hey,
the
double
Mitchells
need to
versus the
sees!
Machines. So we got a double need to see, ladies and gentlemen. Non-binary listeners, get excited, celebrate with us.
It's always great when we get a double need to see because, there have been a lot of trailers within the past year that have been really middle of the road, but
Yes.
diving into them really felt like a suicide mission. But speaking of suicide missions, we got to talk about the Suicide Squad.
You could say, Kevin, that diving into trailers is kind of what we're about.
That's good too.
Or does he say kind of our thing?
Fuck me, it might actually be kind of our thing.
Damn it! Do you want me to redo it?
No. That's part of the suicide mission.
We gotta live with it now. So I die.
No. You don't necessarily die. It's just we only get one shot at it. So I feel like that's like the second act complication in our suicide mission. We're not sunk yet, James. Don't worry. We can still review the trailer.
I'm ready for it.
You know the deal. Successfully complete the mission, you get 10 years off your sentence. You fail to follow my orders in any way, and I detonate the explosive device in the base of your skull.
So this is the famous Suicide Squad.
All right, pick up your James Gunns, because this is the Suicide Squad. This is indeed written and directed by James Gunn. This is starring... Okay, now I'm going to try and get through as many of these as I can in one breath. For those who acted in this, if I did not get to you, I'm sorry, I only had one breath. Here we go. Margot Robbie, Idris Elba, John Cena, Joel Kinnaman, Taika Waititi, Sylvester Stallone, Michael Rooker, Alice Braga, Michaela Hoover, Viola Davis, Storm Reed. All right, that's all. That's all of them. I'm sorry to the other 28 people who are also in this film.
You know what, Kevin? You tried something different, and I think we can all applaud you for the effort there. The Suicide Squad would be proud of that.
I hope so. Yeah.
I mean, they would have kept going until they suffocated and died from lack of oxygen. So you wouldn't be a very good member, but they appreciate your attempt.
I feel like I could hold my own with Dot Sky, but we'll get to that in a bit. Before we do, though, our random shout-out, because we here on Trailer Hitch like to give random shout-outs to cast and crew members, because the top-billed people tend to hog all the credit. So we're going to shout out Michael J. Hall, who was an animator on the Suicide Squad. Hey, Michael! Thanks for helping animating that movie, bud. Here's the deal, folks. You might be listening to us say the Suicide Squad. There was a Red Band trailer that came out. And then, James, was it the same day, a couple days later, the Green Band came out?
I think it was the next day, maybe even less than 24 hours later.
Okay. So, yes, we have a Red Band and a Green Band trailer. And so you listening might be wondering, well, which trailer are you guys talking about? And we're going to be talking about both, motherfucker, because this is Paint Job.
Paint Job. Give it to him, Kevin. What's Paint Job?
All right, what is Paint Job? Okay, so we need a bigger designation than eagle-eared listeners. We're talking like, I guess, elephant-eared listeners. I like that because the only people who will know what the segment is have listened to us since episode 2. And no, your eyes don't deceive you. We're at 117 right now. So in episode 2, James and I got a trailer for, it was a boxing movie. I can't even remember what the fuck it was called. So James and I went, oh, it'll be so interesting. We'll sit down and we'll compare and contrast the Red and Green Band and we'll call it Paint Job. And so we did it for that trailer. The only thing the Red Band added, I remembered, was they said the word fuck a couple times and you got a shot of boobs. Otherwise, it was the exact same trailer.
Yeah, and it's just like in a couple times, it's like maybe they'll add some blood splatter, like a very little bit, or out for the Green Band. It's really, the differences have not been substantial.
Well, yeah, that's what I was about to say. So we did that. We kind of played lean into that for that review the last time we did Paint Job, and went, well, don't worry. Eventually, we're gonna get a red and green band trailers that are different enough where it'll justify using this segment. And then 4 years went by. We had to end up looking up what this segment was called, but eventually we did find it thanks to the help of James. He was able to find the document that had all of our segment names in it. It's a lot of car puns in there.
I was gonna say, especially episode 2 of the Trailer Hitch podcast, we were riding high on automobile puns. So I was like, paint job, I was very excited about.
Oh, and I still am 115 episodes later. And I'm excited that we get to talk about it now, because here's the deal, folks. The red and green band for the Suicide Squad those are significantly different. Like, it is worth bringing up both.
Yes. We would be doing a disservice to everyone that knows anything about this marketing for this movie if we did not bring up both, because they are drastically different.
James, I'm going to be throwing it to you because you did watch the Snyder Cut. I know you're prepped for the DC-ness. I'm going to throw it to you. However, you are welcome to popcorn it back to me, because that movie was 4 hours. If you're tired, I get it.
Kevin, I'm always tired. I'm over 30. I'm always tired.
Dude, yeah, that very much becomes a thing. That and your joints are just kind of occasionally like, today your shoulder hurts, and you go, why?
I haven't moved it in 2 days. Okay. So I'm going to start with the Red Band trailer, because that was the first one that came out, and it's very fitting for the Suicide Squad. They're a vulgar group. I think it was fitting that the first trailer we saw was a Red Band trailer. Look, there's going to be some overlap here, but this was the first piece of trailer marketing that we saw for this movie, so I'm going to talk about it in particular here. Man, there's a lot of people in this movie, huh?
Yeah, there's a ton.
It's insane.
Couldn't get through in one breath, no.
Yeah. It opens up, and they're the Suicide Squad, maybe a smaller squad than what you might be assuming, is planning a rescue mission to save Harley Quinn. Mm-hmm. And she's being held captive somewhere. They show up, and she's already in the alley, completely covered in blood. And she's like, what are you guys doing here? And they're like, oh, we're here to save you. She's like, you guys are here to save me? He's like, yeah, it was a really good plan, too. Like, we were really proud of it.
Yep. And she's like, I can go back in. Yeah.
Go back. And Idris Elba is just like, that's not patronizing at all. So it's a great introduction to this group of misfits.
Yeah, it really establishes them as a group and as a collective, and definitely sets the tone right away.
If maybe not all of them, but there is a select few in this powerhouse of actors, of this powerhouse of a team. There is a select few that already have a sense of camaraderie and loyalty to each other, right? Mm-hmm. So that was nice to set up. You clearly are not going to have seen the first Suicide Squad movie to go into this one. I don't think you will really have to know anything. You can just go into this one, I think. Especially based off of the threat of what this movie's villain's going to be. But we'll get there. So that's how this one kicks off. And then Viola Davis's character is doing the whole spiel of, this is the Suicide Squad. We're putting shit in your brain. We're going to blow your brain up if you don't listen. But if you do listen and you succeed the mission, we're going to knock 10 years off your life sentence or whatever. So they give you the rundown of like what the Suicide Squad is. And then we get a couple introductions of new characters. Maybe some are more vulgar than others. Mm-hmm. And it basically culminates to, I think one person even says, we got a kaiju up in this bitch, right?
Yep.
Sorry, I took a sip of whiskey there. I thought Kevin was going to go more than yep. And I guessed wrong. But the sip was worth it. The sip was worth it. I'm back in it though. Kaiju monster.
Yeah, you were on such a roll that I thought that you were. Again, this is the downside about us recording far away. Like, I'd be able to tell, like, okay, this is when I should come in for a bit. There are times when I'm like, all right, I'm coming in with a bit. James is mid-sentence. Shit, we cut each other off.
Sometimes like Kevin, when Kevin sees me reach for my whiskey glass, he knows to start patting the dialogue there. No, so we get a giant starfish monster, and just kind of like crushing down somewhere, and that's basically it. It's a good button. I think it's the same button as the Green Band trailer, where it's talking to the guy with like pokey electronic things poking out of his head.
The button for the Red Band trailer is Harley Quinn looking at the rain and saying, "I just love it when it rains. It's like angels splooging on you."
Thank you. See, this is why the popcorn thing works so great, Kevin, because I'm going to get confused with these two trailers. They are different, but they are of the same movie, so there's going to be some confusion overlap for James here.
Definitely, yeah. And so I think a big thing to nail, though, is with the Red Band, like, it definitely plays the comedic tone throughout.
Yes.
Gives you some of that action. Definitely gives you a lot of gore with King Shark, because as one would assume with a giant man shark, it's very messy when he eats and rips people in half. But yeah, for the most part, it is. It's really selling you on this being a hybrid of comedy and action. Mm-hmm. And then the Green Band comes in. And the Green Band comes in, I would say, is a little bit more serious in tone. Like, definitely in the action component, they really put the action in the forefront and try to make Dot's guy seem like a good idea. And there are still jokes within that Green Band trailer, but they feel almost ancillary because the setup isn't played for comedy. The setup is, this is very serious. Your head might explode. Now go do this job that'll probably kill you. And that's just sort of where we leave it off. And because of that, like, the jokes kind of come in, and I'm not saying they're intrusive, but it feels like the Green Band trailer to me was, this is going to be an action movie with the occasional quip. Whereas the Red Band trailer, to me, felt like this is an action comedy hybrid through and through. Did you get that impression?
I 100% did get that impression. And maybe it's is it Michael Rooker? He's focused a lot more in the Green Band trailer. And he's just got this like serious scowl on his face the whole time. And maybe it's that, like, we're just focusing on him a lot. And Viola Davis's character, Amanda Waller, is very ultra serious all the time also. And maybe the mixture of those two things as like your intro, because that was basically your intro, right? To the Green Band?
Yeah.
And maybe it's that really set the tone for that one more. But you're right. I think you're totally right. Is that one felt a little bit more like this is an action movie with some humor peppered in. And the Red Band trailer was like, this is a comedy that we also found some like really good opportunities and excuses to have gory action in it.
For sure.
There are things in the Green Band trailer I liked more, though.
I liked the punchline. There's that bit with Peter Cabraldi where they're kind of saying, all right, if you screw us over, you'll die. If you make us fail the mission, you'll die. And then Margot Robbie comes up and says, and if you have a vanity license plate, you'll die. But just the way the camera moved, because they're playing it as like these guys are just like walking past him, making these threats. And then Margot Robbie comes by and says her non sequitur. And then the camera whip pans over to Joel Kinnaman, who goes, wait, what? No. And his delivery is fucking precise, and it's great.
Yes. The Red Band trailer does a weird, different thing.
Yeah. The Red Band trailer has a cut, and I think the joke landed more with the Green Band. Because I think you got the original intent with the camera work, too. Where it's like, oh, the direction is also a huge part of what's making this funny.
The whip pan sold that joke. And in the Red Band trailer, it's so odd that they cut that out because the whip pan, it was so funny. Mm-hmm. And like the actors' delivery is funny too, but it's the whip pan. It's the camera is being disrupted by what Harley Quinn said.
Mhm.
And that's really creative and interesting. And not only that, so that works better in the Green Man trailer for me. They're different scenes, but the Peacemaker stuff I think works better for me in the Green Band trailer than the Red Band trailer. I thought it was funny, like just the, hey, if this whole field was just a bunch of dicks, I would eat all the dicks. You know, I would suck all
For
the
America.
dicks
Yeah.
for America. Like, I thought it was funny, but it was just kind of also a little juvenile.
Yeah, well, and especially because we hadn't really set that character up yet, too.
Exactly.
So it's kind of like, oh, okay, this is where that's coming from. Whereas, you're right. In the Green Band trailer, they are setting up John Cena's character a little bit more as, like, this hyper aggro Captain America. And so...
I thought it's not as funny, like comedy wise, it's not as funny, but you get him better in that Green Band trailer. He's like, I believe in peace no matter what. If I have to kill every man, woman, and child who stands in my way, I will do that. And then the lady's like, I thought you were the crazy one, to the polka dot guy. And he just like very depressingly says, I am.
I love,
like,
dude, polka dots guy is quickly becoming my favorite character in the movie.
We actually in the Green Band trailer, actually we got to see him just like throwing random polka dots.
Yeah, and you actually see his utility.
Yeah, I do know that I am the resident like comic book guy on this show, but I promise you guys, I'm not that into comics where I know anything about that guy. This is my introduction to polka dot guy or man or boy, whatever his name is.
For sure. I will say I did think the I hope so line is funnier in the Red Band, where they're kind of going through like, all right, this is our setup, any questions? And Viola Davis is just sort of ignoring them, and Idris Elba says, we're all going to die. And then Polka Dots guy just looks over at him stone serious and goes, I hope so.
I hope so.
Yeah, and I thought that the cutting for the Red Band trailer for that gag was a little bit better.
I'd agree with you. And that's what's so fun about both of these trailers as a unit. I love some things more in the Green Band trailer. I love other things more in the Red Band trailer. It just works, man, as a unit in terms of marketing.
Yeah, truly. Where the two trailers really do complement each other a lot.
Yes,
and
yes.
I think they're both good trailers, but I think they do. They really build each other up a lot. And because some of the stuff in the Red Band trailer where I went, oh yeah, that was sort of funny, I guess. Then when watching the Green Band trailer, I went, oh, that's what they're doing. Okay, yeah, that's really funny then. And that's why you should always, as a listener, keep an asterisk next to any time I went, oh yeah, that joke didn't really land for me in a trailer. Because again, you're cutting a trailer. You are taking a 90-plus minute film, or perhaps 4 hours if you're Zack Snyder, and then you're cutting it down to like 2.5 minutes or so. And so when you're cutting a trailer, yeah, eventually you're going to probably make a cut that might not make a gag hit quite as hard or something like that. And yeah, there will be points where I go, yeah, that gag didn't really work for me, or yeah, that sort of whiffed for me. But at the same time, it's one of those things where I never try to bring that into the movie because we might have been missing a couple of shots, or in the case of the Suicide Squad and the Red Band, we might have been missing a whip pan, and those are really important.
It's crazy because it's like when you think about that joke in the Red Band trailer before you see the Green Band trailer, I was just like, yeah, that joke works. That's a funny joke. I'm excited for that joke. The Harley Quinn says, personalized license plates, you die. And then, Rick Flag is like, wait, what? It's a good joke on paper. And I'm like, great, this movie's got good jokes. And then you watch the Green Band trailer and it's like, man, you have no idea how much camera work can emphasize a joke until you see it one way and then another way.
Right.
And it's just so much better in the Green Band trailer.
So, as we've talked about both of them, there are clearly pluses and minuses with both. But James, can you say between the Red and Green Band, is there one you prefer?
Oh my God,
Right?
I've been so back and forth. I thought something would emerge over our conversation, and it just hasn't. It's just emphasized how much I like both of them. It's hard for me because I'm a comedy guy at heart. You know this about me.
Of course.
I adore comedy.
You bring the yucks, yes.
Well, I don't know if I bring the yucks, but I appreciate the yucks. That's for sure.
You could be a yucks connoisseur, yeah.
Yes,
you're also
yes.
funny too. Give yourself credit, and then we'll.
Thank you. I'll pat myself on the back. I think I'm gonna go with the green band trailer. Edges out the red band for me, just because I think it fleshes out the characters just a little bit better. Some of the characters, because obviously there's 34 main characters in this movie, right. So you can't flesh out all of them. I think it did a good job of giving us a little hint of all of them. Yeah, we missed some good stuff from that red band trailer, though.
Right.
And it does get a little too serious at times. But really, I mean, it's just in the beginning, and then it lets up, and it lightens up for the rest of the trailer. But that beginning does throw you just a little bit. But I think I like it better. And I like the whip pan to Rick Flag being the button.
Mm-hmm.
And I like Peacemaker, John Cena's, his whole scene in this trailer better. I think Polka Dot Man is hilarious and weird, and just I don't get it, but part of me is like, maybe I don't want to get it. Maybe that's the point of Polka Dot Man. Yeah, I think Green Band edges it out for me, which is very peculiar.
That is interesting. Okay,
and maybe it's the fact that it came out second. I'm a little biased because I got all the great juicy stuff from Red Band trailer that I got to carry over into the Green Band trailer. So maybe it's a little unfair. I never thought about it like that, but maybe that's part of it. But yeah, I'm gonna stick with that answer.
Okay, interesting. Now for me, I would say 51 to 49. I very, very marginally prefer the red band. And I think that is purely because it does synthesize the action and the comedy more effectively with that red band. And I think creates a tone and style that I haven't really seen yet with DC movies yet. Because DC, very much so, is built on being big and bold and dark in tone and things like that. And I do really like this tone that it's creating because, okay, this feels different from Marvel. And because it's DC, they are willing to go harder. Like, this will be R-rated. This is going to be something that will feel unique in that sense. And again, that action comedy tone, I think, is handled really well. And as much as we can say that, oh yeah, like that gag didn't really work as well as it did in the Green Band, I still think its intro is really fucking solid. And I think we do get and highlight some really good camera work within that, I think, bus that they're in as they're on their way to go pick up Harley Quinn. Yeah, I think there is. I think that synthesis is really there. But honestly, these trailers really do work as companion pieces to each other. And so I would highly recommend watching both. But, and I guess this would sort of be cheating, but James, we should review these. I say we just review them as a unit because I do feel like they are pretty inseparable.
You can, put that out there as an official statement if you want to. It doesn't matter because my answer is going to be the same for both of them.
Is that a need to see?
It's a need to see it for both of them.
It's a need to see.
Yay! I mean, that's what. So that's definitely something that's never happened on this podcast before. It's mostly because we don't really do red band, or we don't really do paint job segments that often. So I will ask real quick, Kevin. You did see Birds of Prey, right?
I did, yes.
Yeah.
Ooh, so that's a good point. If we're talking that sort of tone, that wasn't R-rated though, was it?
I don't remember.
I don't think it was.
I thought it was. We can find this out, but also why would we?
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's so hard to find, like, oh, what was this rated, like, on IMDb and stuff, because it's like, what do you care? You're over 17. And it's like, yeah, I know, but it's just for a discussion. Hang on. Google, help me out here. God, that was R2. Never mind. Whoa.
Okay.
Well, I looked like a fool earlier.
No. And here's the thing. Yeah, Birds of Prey, I feel like really fell through the cracks for a lot of people, which is a damn shame because I really liked Birds of Prey.
I enjoyed it, yeah.
Of everything of Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn that we've seen thus far, not counting this upcoming movie, Birds of Prey is the best we've seen her as Harley Quinn, definitively. So that's kind of like the bar to be set for a movie like this. This is another R-rated DC movie starring Harley Quinn, Margot Robbie. Now, it's going to be a little different because it's James Gunn, but I think, Kevin, the reason I brought it up is because I do think that kind of paved the way to doing a little bit of a different style than everything else that the DCEU has been doing. The dark and brooding, gritty, ultra serious stuff. Yeah. And I think Birds of Prey kind of just bust the doors open and went, fuck that. Let's just like have a really fun time with this crazy stuff. And maybe some of it'll land, maybe some of it won't, but at least we're taking big swings and just having fun with it, you know?
No, that's totally fair. Yeah, I would say, then if that's the case, I will definitely recant a little bit because, it's that tone isn't necessarily as unique as I was making it out to be because you're 100% right. Like, that's what Birds of Prey was for sure.
But it did fall through the cracks for a lot of people, right? Like, I mean,
it did. Not a lot of people saw it.
You're not the only one, and it wasn't even...
But here's the deal, I saw it! That's what makes this embarrassing for me.
It's not even like that was during the pandemic. So it's like, why is that just like a weird gaping hole in people's heads? I don't know, because I enjoyed it a lot, but every once in a while, I even forget that movie existed. And I think I'll be rewatching Birds of Prey before this movie. And not Suicide Squad, I could care less. But Birds of Prey is the true predecessor to the Suicide Squad, in my opinion.
Yeah, in that case, what does make it unique from Birds of Prey? I guess, that's a good question. And thank you so much for bringing up Birds of Prey. The second you said it, I was like, God damn, you're right.
Dude, here's the thing. When you said what you said, I'm like, he's right. He's right. Because I'm coming fresh off of Snyder's Justice League. So I'm just like, he's right, man. That's the DCEU in a nutshell. And this is, breaking down the mold. And then the more we talked, the more I was just like,
wait, hang on. I feel like we've said this exact same thing before about 2 years ago. Yeah. I guess it won't be an origin story because they don't have to give an origin for the Suicide Squad anymore. They even say in the trailer, you know what the deal is. So let's go into it. Yeah.
Yeah. They just need to set up real quick. Hey, these characters are bad guys, but we're giving an opportunity to do something good, but their heads might explode. Okay, go.
Yeah. That is something that I really appreciated about this trailer, by the way, was they didn't feel the need to say we're the bad guys every couple of minutes, because that's definitely in the first Suicide Squad movie.
You know who else is a bad guy, Kevin?
Who?
Jigsaw.
Yeah, I've heard. And you know what else I heard? I heard he died. But then all of a sudden... we're getting spirals everywhere, man.
He's alive. He's alive and well. The spirit of Jigsaw lives. Hashtag.
All right, well,
did I do that right?
I think the hashtag comes before, but...
Shit!
Now you just said hashtag shit, which I feel like that'll just incur Jigsaw's wrath more. But we'll see. Maybe this Spiral trailer can get us out of some hot water.
Jigsaw? Wait, I thought the Jigsaw killer was dead.
He is.
Find him. They're hours, not days.
How can I catch this guy? If there's nobody on the force, I can trust!
You can't do this alone.
Whoever did this has another motive. Something personal.
When was the last time you saw your father?
Jigsaw copycat. This is gonna go sideways fast.
You spin me right round, but hopefully not in a trap, because this is Spiral from, I have the title up and I still didn't read it, from the Book of Saw. All right, sweet. Anyway, This is Spiral. It is directed by Darren Lynn Bousman. It is written by Josh Stolberg and Pete Goldfinger. This is starring Chris Rock, Samuel L. Jackson, Morgan David Jones, Allie Johnson. Our random shout out is going to go to Brendan Wilcox, who's in the casting department. Hey, Brendan, you had to look at a bunch of pictures and wonder, would that guy look good in a trap? That sounds stressful. Good for you, bud.
And you did it. You succeeded.
You fucking did it with Gusto.
All the traps I saw, people look great in it.
And we can thank Brandon for that.
Yeah.
All right, so this is Spiral. So we start off with a package arriving at a police station, and we get our hero, Chris Rock. He's a cop. He walks up to this package and very intensely but quietly says, "Everybody get out of here." And then he opens up that package, and you have to bear in mind, this is Green Band. You assume there's gore or some shit in there, but as far as we know in the trailer, he opens that package up, and it's a flash drive that says, "Play me." And in that moment, Chris Rock looks at it, clearly realizing he probably overreacted when he told everyone to get out of there. But then he plugs that thing in, and it's a message. It's a video message saying, "Hello, Detective Banks. Do you know where your officers are?" Now, in that moment, we see a cop walking by himself down a subway track because, James, do you have a bit for that? Bail me out here, buddy.
I mean, he's got to be already like in the web of Jigsaw at that point, and I'm sure something led him down to that.
You'd have to assume so. Otherwise, he's just like going and razzing trains just in the subway, just like as it passes by, like, "Hey, do you know how fast you're going?" And it's already gone. Like that's your tax dollars at work. But anyway, this guy's walking down the subway tracks by himself. He sees something sitting in a chair. Well, that must be someone who needs his help. He's going to go help it. Too late. Pig mask guy's behind him. Fucking gets him with some, I'm assuming, chloroform. That's what I'm looking for. Pig mask guy gets him with some chloroform, and all of a sudden, he's in a trap. And we don't really get a clean shot of the trap, which makes sense because, again, this is a Green Band trailer. We can't go full tilt saw. But you kind of see him strung up, and then all of a sudden you see a train coming, and oh no! Could it be the work of Jigsaw? But Jigsaw is dead, the other cops say. But here's the deal. They keep finding a bunch of spirals all over the fucking place, and they keep finding bodies. And so it does lead Chris Rock to believe that, yes, Jigsaw is either back or there's a copycat, but additionally, this Jigsaw guy seems to really be going after police. There seems to be a personal angle here. And right now, Chris Rock doesn't have any information. There's no one who he can really trust. As everyone in the precinct goes, "Oh."
This is the last time I bring donuts to the precinct.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I hate picking up Long Johns anyway. You're the only one who likes them, Chris. So then Chris Rock assumes that there's some sort of personal motive. And then I'm assuming commanding officer looks at Chris Rock and asks him, "When was the last time you saw your father?" Who we get like a little expository shot that Chris Rock's father was Samuel L. Jackson, who is also a police officer.
Yeah, and like that guy who said that, you're like, oh, it must be just like a random guy. Yeah, or maybe he's the copycat Jigsaw guy, because the trailer literally ends with the new Jigsaw voice saying, "Excuse me, Mr. Banks, do you know where your father is?" I'm like, hey, that's what the police officer said to Chris Rock earlier in the trailer.
Did you seriously crack the fucking case after watching a 2.5 minute trailer, James? That's amazing.
I have to believe that it's not that simple, because I would be very disappointed in this movie if they put that in the trailer and that ended up being
I would be no, dude. I agree. That would definitely be disappointing if we've already cracked the case. I would be proud as fuck of you, though. But anyway, this cop says, "When was the last time you saw your father?" Chris Rock walks into his apartment, and apparently the answer is, "Oh shit, right now." And presumably Chris Rock shoots a text to that guy and is like, "Hey, I got an update for you on my dad."
I do think it's funny that he walks in to his apartment super weary because the door is probably ajar and there's music playing.
Yeah.
And I thought that was hilarious because the last time I saw a movie where someone walked into their apartment weary because the door's ajar and music's playing, and they came in and they peeked around the corner, Samuel L. Jackson was also just sitting there. And that was Captain America Winter Soldier. So just Samuel L. Jackson just likes just popping into people's apartments, putting on the stereo, and is like, I'll just wait here and hope they don't shoot me right away when they walk in.
Yeah, my son is a cop. I'm really banking on him not being tense while there is a cop killer on the loose. And yeah, do you remember the content of the scene with Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson? Because my brain basically just autofills it as Samuel L. Jackson's like, fucking Jigsaw, am I right? But like, was there anything else to that scene?
No, that is literally it. He says, Jigsaw, copycat. Huh. This is gonna go sideways fast. Like that's his line. But basically what you said, you're like, Jigsaw, am I right?
Basically. Yeah, and then after that we just get a montage of some crazy stuff. You get like quick flashes of like traps and people pointing guns at things and screaming and the whole lot. And then our button is Samuel L. Jackson himself, the man, the myth, the legend, is in a trap. Oh no. What kind of trap is it? Well, we know he's hanging, but we don't really get a clean shot of it. That is Spiral. James, what are you thinking so far?
Well, I mean, I would like to point out the parallelism of Samuel L. Jackson during that montage that you described. He walked into a place, gun drawn, and there was like a bed sheet up with like a silhouette against it. Behind the sheet looked like a marionette puppet. And the trap that Samuel L. Jackson looked to be in that ending.
Oh, it was like in a marionette. Yeah.
He kind of looked like he was hanging there, arms and legs out, and like wires coming out of him, kind of like he was a marionette. So I thought,
fucking catch. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. So I liked that. I didn't like. It was also in the montage, but there's like a shot of Chris Rock clearly in handcuffs or foot cuffs or something, and he literally literally holds up a hacksaw the exact same way. The shot is framed exactly the same way that Carrie Ewells does it in the very first Saw, right? He just he holds up this hacksaw and he's like, well, I'm going to have to saw something off here to get out of this bitch. And we know how that movie ends. So I don't know. It's kind of, I didn't like seeing that. I know Chris Rock is going to find himself in that position again.
Yeah.
It's a good visual. Like it's like, oh, that's really cool. It definitely parallels the first movie. It's like shot the same way. It's set up the same way. But I'm like, I don't want to know that his character will end up there. Like I would have been impressed with that when I saw the movie. But now I either know like it ends sort of like on a cliffhanger, or he cuts himself out of that trap, same way Carrie Ewells does, or someone gets him out of it. Those are, the three options, really. But I didn't want to know he finds himself in that situation. So I didn't like that aspect.
That's fair.
I don't know. In the whole setup, though, I thought it was okay. It does.
Yeah, it does feel like there's like something missing. Because I feel like the biggest thing I got out of this trailer is, oh shit, Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson are in a Saw movie. And like, don't get me wrong, that's good casting. That definitely has me intrigued. But I didn't really get too much out of, well, yeah, but it's just Chris Rock playing the cop that's in the Saw movies. Like, there isn't really anything too unique to that character, or there isn't anything played that different. And I was talking to my roommate about it, and he very helpfully reminded me, yeah, you don't really go to Saw for the character work, which is a great point. But that said, it's one of those things where I think with Chris Rock coming in, you go, okay, that's really unique casting. That's something that I'm really interested in. And I think that evokes, oh yeah, there's going to be something with that, like we're going to have something come with that, like whether that be Chris Rock's personality or something. No, this place is a pretty straightforward Saw trailer, which I think it's a very solid Saw trailer. But yeah, I agree, man. It's one of those things where I would say it's fine, but I definitely wasn't as blown away by it. And I think with the trailer, I would either look for, okay, well, either I would want to get something where it's like, yeah, Chris Rock is killing it in this, or I would want to like get more traps. Now, you pointing out the marionette trap with Samuel Jackson in the end, that perked my eyebrows up because I didn't realize that or catch that. And I do think that is pretty clever.
If I'm reading that right.
Yeah.
Right,
Oh,
which
yeah.
I think
Yeah,
I am,
totally.
but...
I think you are too. I'm going to give you credit right now.
All right.
Okay, and you also solved the case. Additionally, I will say the subway trap also kind of feels like that dude's also suspended by wires and hanging. So it's like, oh, these kind of feel like similar traps. And then the only other thing that we get a clean shot of that's unique, you're right, is literally just the same shot from the first movie. So, yeah, I'm curious about this. I remember when we first talked about this, you mentioned that Chris Rock wanted to come on because his take was, hey, listen, I really like Saw. I just think these movies would be better if there were like 2 jokes in them. I believe was the quote that you said.
Oh my God. I forgot I said that because it was a billion years ago. But you're right. Now that you say that, I do remember reading that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, especially if we're playing it this way, where we're not really expanding on what Chris Rock or Samuel Jackson are necessarily bringing differently to Spiral in the Saw franchise, and if we're not really highlighting the traps, then in that case, I think I wish I saw one of the 2 jokes then. Just like as a, okay, and this is what is going to differentiate this from the other Saw franchises. That I could like, I don't know, you presume they're on Netflix or some shit right now. Like, what's preventing me from stopping and watching one of those instead of going out and seeing this?
Right.
Yeah, that's my take right now. Do you have anything further to add?
I don't know why. I'm not like super invested in the Saw franchise, but for some reason I had higher expectations for this and they weren't met. And I'm like, okay, well, this is good. This is good. This is happening now. Because if I do end up seeing this movie, maybe I'll have lower expectations then.
For sure. Yeah, definitely, man. And I am interested in seeing it, even though I think I only saw through 3.
3 is exactly where I stopped as well.
Yeah. I mean, like, 2 had the best trap, and then 3 was, oh God, why am I still doing this? And then I dropped off.
Yeah. And then there was 7 more.
And then there were 7 fucking more of them. That's correct. So, yeah, it's one of those things where, don't get me wrong, I do think that this is a pretty competently made trailer. I do like the cutting. I like the score here. I like the light piano touches, then going into the Brahms. Like, I thought that worked for this trailer. I think that this is, like, in terms of a horror trailer, you know, like, you have, like, your quiet setup, and then all of a sudden we build and build from there until we get our crazy freaking montage. Yep, I mean, like, we've seen it all before, but it is very skillfully done here. But yeah, that said, it's one of those things where if you're giving me a serial killer movie with a great cast, I've also been duped by The Snowman, which is a movie that came out like 3 or 4 years ago, had a ton of pedigree behind it. Then I sat down and watched it and went, oh my God. Like, I did not need to see that thing. Yes, with those hesitations in my back pocket, I will very politely give Spiral a need to see more. But how about you?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing in it to bring it as low as a never need to see it. There's nothing in there that makes me go, this dropped you this low. So by default, yeah, this is definitely a great smack in the middle of a need to see more. I'm going to have to see more of this. So
we did it. But listener, what did you think of Spiral? What did you think of either or both, ideally, of the Suicide Squad trailers? What did you think about the Snyder cut? What do you think about Space Jam? Because by the time you listen to this, you will have your opinion in before we will. Actually, if you want to, if you're listening, go ahead and send us what you think we will think of Space Jam. We've given our predictions. You send your predictions for what we'll think, and then we'll read them on the show after the review.
Oh, great idea. Yeah.
If you want to, you can go ahead and hit us up with an email at trailerhitchmailbox@gmail.com. Otherwise, if you don't want to open a new tab and you're already on social media, you can find us on Facebook at Trailer Hitch Podcast. Otherwise, you can tweet at us at Trailer Hitch Pod. Or if you take a picture that creatively displays how we'll react to Space Jam, the trailer, and then we'll just have to interpret your picture, you can send that picture to our Instagram at Trailer Hitch Podcast. Or you can leave a YouTube comment on the very YouTube video that you're watching. Which, speaking of, while you're on YouTube, like, subscribe, do all the things that help us find more listeners. Which, oh, by the way, speaking of liking, subscribing, and finding more listeners, if you're not on YouTube, I'm assuming you're on either Apple Podcasts or Stitcher. All right, before we go, we would like to thank Danny Schmitz from Lost in a Name for the amazing intro that you hear at the top of every episode. We'd like to thank Rachel Ashley for the amazing cover art that you see on her various social medias. You can find her work at Mighty Creations on Instagram. We would also like to thank Jenny Hawks, our Bad Movie and social media correspondent, for her sterling work week in and week out. And we would also like to thank Casey Clowers for the amazing outro, which you will hear momentarily.
You can't mount holy sails without a sailor's stitch, and you can't haul your stuff without a trailer hitch. Trailer hitch.
So yeah, use your wing to pat yourself on the back right now, because yeah, we did cover that. But yeah, for those uninitiated, oh my god. For those uninitiated, I got it. It took 3 tries, but I got it.
I am proud of you. But I am.
It's really not that complicated of a word either, so I shouldn't be too proud of myself for getting it on try 3.
I have heard you say it correctly like 1 billion times on this show. So
yeah, and this was just the one time. Buddy. Okay, yeah, exactly. So for those uninitiated, crushed it.
Yay!